course, he's essentially using the 800 metres to sharpen himself for his main target here at these games, the 1500.
Bit of a frown on his face, and I was talking to him just before the race in the warm-up track, asking him how his tendon is. He waved his hand as if it was a bit shaky, but he's on the track, and I'm sure if he's on the track, he's in good shape. He doesn't have the speed that he used to have as a young man, struggling against some of our younger runners. Of course, he's been beaten by a couple this season. Be interesting to see how he goes in this 800, but he's using this really as a warm-up for his 15.
Sebastian Coe, who you may have seen in that previous shot, they're looking very suntanned, obviously enjoying the couple of weeks he's had here in New Zealand and the 3-4 weeks earlier than that in Australia. So the first heat in the first round of the men's 800 metres is underway. Of course, the runners must run in lanes until they hit the start of the back straight for the first 100 metres of the journey. And going out very strongly is Sammy Tirop, the Kenyan. As they break now, as they pass through that area with the red flags, and they can now chop down onto the inside lane with the Scotsman David Strang on the outside, Sammy Tirop, John Walker, the tall figure there of Neil Horsfield, the Welshman, who's better known as a 1500 metre runner.
Well, Walker's got himself into a good position, getting a little bit of shelter there behind the leading runners, and the three in front of him are all good performers. Seb Coe on his outside, and the man from Zimbabwe, Homela Melford, in the back there with the orange stripe around his chest, runs pretty well. So this will be a real contest for Walker to get through.
A tremendous reception these athletes are getting as they pass the home straight in front of the big stadium here. You'd think it was the final of the 800 metres.
Well, Walker still in a good position behind the Welshman, Horsfield. He's getting shelter up the back straight now, but he must be ready for some kicks to come.
Remember, it's the first four that go through to the semi-finals, and it's Sammy Tirop, Neil Horsfield, David Strong, the Scotsman, then John Walker and Sebastian Coe, along with this very promising junior, Melford Homela from Zimbabwe.
Well, you can see David Strong working his shoulders, trying to pick the pace up. Walker has to match it, and he's doing that. There's Seb Coe just cruising around.
Walker in 5th place at the moment, but he's got to finish in the first four. Melford, the Zimbabwean, coming with a big kick over the last 100 metres. It's Sammy Tirop. He's a 1:44 man. No problems with this pace. Sammy Tirop making sure of a berth in the semi-finals. Sebastian Coe there as well. Strong. Now Walker's going to have to watch it. In fact, he finished 5th. Well, he still may get through as one of the fastest losers, but he'll have to wait. But it was Sammy Tirop, the Kenyan, who won the first round in the men's 800 metres in the first heat in 1:48.60. The gun sounds for the start of the second heat in round one of the men's 800 metres. The fastest in the field is Nixon Kiprotich, running in lane number 2. But there's some concern in the Kenyan camp this morning over Kiprotich, who's had a mild bout of malaria since he's been in New Zealand, and he's been quite sick for the last couple of days. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes in this first race.
Well, he's confident at the moment, Brendan, and he's gone to the lead through the first 200 metres, and it's a pretty leisurely 27.24. So the pace is not really on, but as you said, look at the length of his legs and just how casual he looks. I mean, the guy is so relaxed. This is what 800-metre runners should look like. If anybody wants to know how they should be as a good 800-metre runner to get through to the next round.
And as they line up for the run home, and Nixon Kiprotich just has a little look around to see if he's safely inside the first four, that there's no one going to mow him down. They certainly won't. Kiprotich is through, as is Ikem Billy, along with Brian Whittle and the Canadian Paul Osland. And in a sense, I guess you could say, kept Steve Cram out of here at the Commonwealth Games, but he's justifying his selection at the moment. He wants to make sure he's at least into the semi-finals. He's having to watch the Kenyan. Now Michael Craig and the Canadian Michael Burke having a good contest for 4th place, but Craig should be safe. As Kibet and Yates come down, they're safely through, as is Burke and as is Michael Craig. So John Walker must continue to wait, but... double 105. One of the big 800-metre men here at the Games. Could be a big threat to the Kenyans and to Sebastian Coe.
Well, Simon Hugerworth, you could see the Canadian got himself into all sorts of trouble there. I don't know what the trouble is here with Simon Doyle's singlet, but he always seems to poke one shoulder out of it. Now, Paul Breed has to try and gather himself and quickly sprint in the straight if he can.
Tom McKean just has a little look around, and this is a good run here coming from Tay, the Botswanan, and he's safely through to the semi-finals, as is Tom McKean, Simon Doyle and Hugerworth, and Paul Breed coming home in 5th place. So he, like Walker, will have to wait to see if he can get through as one of the fastest leaders. Coe is in 4, Kiprotich, the Kenyan, is in 3, Hugerworth, the Canadian, in 2, Brian Whittle from Scotland in lane number 1. John Walker didn't look terribly comfortable there. He had, I think, a second thought about standing up and going down again, but he decided to steady himself. He took the gun. Brian Whittle, the Scotsman, out very smart. The two Kenyans here. Nixon Kiprotich, the tall figure, nearest to the camera, and further out, 31-year-old Sammy Tirop. Ian working hard down on the inside as big Nixon Kiprotich has a look around to see where the challenges are coming from. Look at the legs of this man. He doesn't look as if he's moving terribly fast. An enormous stride. Kenyans 1 and 2. Whittle is there. Coe's there as well. Ikem Billy coming in 5th place. But John Walker, his 800-metre campaign is over, coming in at the tail of the field in the men's 800 metres first semi-final. But I'm sure he's got valuable preparation today for the big race for him. And they're off in the men's 800 metres final before a crowd of 35,000 people. And out first and hard is Brian Whittle, the Scotsman, the 400-metre man who's moved up to 800 metres. Remember, they break when they hit the red flags after the first 100 metres. And the 3 Kenyans there right at the top of the field where we expect them to be. But it's Brian Whittle that's setting the pace. And where's Sebastian Coe? Tucked in the middle. Boy, it's rough.
It's rough, all right, because they all stopped when they got to the 200-metre mark. Everybody wants to get a good position as they break lines, but the pace has picked up again. 24-7 through the 200. Quick.
And it's Nixon Kiprotich who's leading them out. Brian Whittle, the Scotsman, alongside of him. Sebastian Coe running wide. And tucked in behind them is Robert Kibet, the Kenyan. Now, Nixon Kiprotich with his big legs, he likes to lead from the front. He doesn't like getting caught up in the pack where his rhythm and fluency is upset.
So with a lap to go, Tom McKean from Scotland, 3rd from the back. Remember, he's a favourite, not in a good position at the moment. Seb Coe running wide. He's giving away a lot of energy to maintain position.
It's Kiprotich leading from Brian Whittle, Sebastian Coe, Sammy Tirop, the Kenyan, in 4th place, the Australian at the back of the field. And where's Tom McKean?
You can see McKean just moving up on the outside now in the blue vest of Scotland. There he comes around the outside.
It's a bunched field at the 200-metre mark, but it's the tall Kenyan, Nixon Kiprotich. Now Coe starts to make a move. Coming through on the inside is Tirop. Here comes the big challenge from Tom McKean.
Now McKean is very strong, can be really tough competitor, and he'll be hard here.
The 2 Kenyans, Kiprotich and Tirop, but down the outside comes Tom McKean, but has he left it too late? It's Kenya 1 and 2. No sign of Sebastian Coe. They won't touch the Kenyans. Kenya 1 and 2. And I think the Englishman might have come through for 3rd place. Matthew Yates. Not an especially fast time. 1:45.98. The gold and the silver medal going to Kenya. Nixon Kiprotich and Sammy Tirop.
The Commonwealth Games 800-metre final. And a hold. Kiprotich has his foot over the line. The game's 800-metre final underway. The first bend in lanes. They break at the flags towards at the beginning of the back straight. And straight away it's Kibet and Kiprotich and the other Kenyan, Tirop. Yates is out of it on the inside. And Whittle looks across and decides to take them on. And it's Whittle, Tirop, and he slowed them down at 200 metres. Oh, he slowed them down so much. Kiprotich, the leader, being followed by Tirop. Whittle right behind there. There's Kibet on the outside. Tom McKean very badly boxed as they come towards the bell. It's Kiprotich leading. Whittle in second place. Coe is third. Kibet 4. 5 is Whittle. 6 is number 560. Tirop into the back straight. And McKean trying to improve. He's out of trouble now with 300 to go. And it's still Kiprotich leading. Whittle in second place. What a battle. And Coe couldn't get there. He tried, but he couldn't get there. Kiprotich still leads. Tracking him is the other Kenyan, Tirop. And Kiprotich there, and Coe is waiting to pounce, and McKean comes through. Still Tirop there. Off the bend, and into the straight for the home straight battle. And is Kiprotich in front. In second place, Tirop. Coe is beaten. Whittle can't get there, McKean can't get there, and it's going to be a Kenyan 1-2. And Matthew Yates coming through. Tirop wins, Kiprotich second, and Yates, the real outsider of the final, the man they said shouldn't be here, came through at the last minute to beat Coe, Whittle, and McKean. Well, it's not all that fast. That doesn't matter. The Kenyans dictated the race, and the United Kingdom athletes of renown like McKean, Coe, and Whittle couldn't handle it. Coe's in real trouble, as you can see there. And the youngster took advantage of his chance. Tirop wins, Kiprotich second.
Well, they're just coming around the top bend. Both the British favourites, Tom McKean and Sebastian Coe, were poised in a position to attack, but they both were beginning to strain. Tom McKean hadn't had a very clean race at all. He'd been in all kinds of trouble. Matthew Yates on the inside was never a hope at that point. But Brian Whittle, running the race of his life too, at this point in the race, having his chance for a medal. He thought the medal was his, and there comes Matthew Yates on the outside, in front of Coe, in front of McKean. His dreams must have been alive, and Ikem Billy beating Tom McKean and Sebastian Coe. So Coe and McKean, 4th and 5th Britons in that race. That's an amazing turn up for the book.